Welcome back, everyday business leaders. I'm Melanie Ake, your host for today's show, coming to you from JP the Geek Studio right here in Greenwood, Indiana. I am thrilled to have you with us today. I have someone in the studio that you're going to want to meet. Get out your journals because we're going to talk about financial planning from Raymond James. Brandi Greenleaf Barnes is here. So remember, we are connecting remarkable business leaders from our own community, and we want to celebrate them, and we're going to help you think and grow differently. Remember to subscribe to our channel and turn your notifications on so you never miss one of our upcoming episodes. Thank you for following us, and let's meet Brandi. Hi, Brandi.
Hi.
This is awesome.
This is so awesome.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all things that people need to be prepared for.
Yes.
And I want people to get to know you, your journey, and statistically why we should be acting now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This
It's
is so
important.
cool. Thanks for, I know it's been a while, and I've been saying, come to the studio, come to the studio.
Yes, you
so
have.
Today's the day.
It is. Thank you. I am so honored to be here and so thankful that it all finally worked out.
Friendships sometimes happen at the strangest times,
Yes,
right?
they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. But in perfect time.
In perfect timing.
Yes.
Yeah. So this has been a great year. First of all, you're with Raymond James currently.
Yes.
And the things that we're going to talk about are more personal leadership and then also financial preparation because people need help today.
Yes, they do.
And there are many opportunities for people to say, oh, I'm not sure who to trust. I'm not sure what to go to. So we're going to talk a lot about that. So I really want people to say at some point, I want you to replay this. I want you to really lean in and learn everything you're going to teach us. So
Sounds great.
yeah.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about what your journey has been over, the past several years of what have you been interested in your whole life
Sure.
that has
My
brought you
whole
to
life.
this?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's a long version. So let's make it short. It's a 30-minute show, right? I spent 25 years in nonprofit. That was career number one for me. And
What got you started in nonprofit though? Like, so, everybody says, oh, I give to a nonprofit, I volunteer.
Yeah.
But being inside of the nonprofit world is so different. And 25 years is a long time. It's a long time. Talk to me about that.
It all started at Indiana State University my junior year. I had to I was a marketing major with a sales specialization, so I had to take my sales class. The American Marketing Association planned a golf tournament every year as a fundraiser. And so junior year, you sold the golf tournament. You sold tee signs and foursomes and all the things. You had a territory. It was like 60% of my grade. I was out cold calling, and I loved it. I loved the sell. So that was it. I was going to sell, right? And that's always what I thought. I had a teacher, I think fifth grade science teacher used to tell me, you can sell ice to an Eskimo, right? So I'm like, I don't know exactly what that means. I do now. But whatever. Okay, I'm supposed to sell. Senior year, we had to do the management class. So we had to manage the sales reps from the junior year. I didn't like that very much. I realized pretty quickly I like to lead a team. I don't like to manage people. And also senior year, I chaired that event as my internship. Dr. Joyce Young was an incredible, incredible professor who poured a lot into me. And we came alongside each other, planned the most successful event at that point. And that's where my love for nonprofit and fundraising came in. So I took all those skill sets that I knew I loved, and 25 years later, that's how I spent my career.
Wow. So what was it that you really, I mean, giving back, right? Getting people motivated to give to organizations that are so needy.
Yes.
So needy because the programs that you run, what are some of the programs, if you could talk a little bit about what really gave you the passion to stay with it for 25 years?
Sure. So I started out early in my career working, we did the golf tournament, obviously, but when Marshall Falk was here as an Indianapolis Colt, we met, became fast friends, and I started helping the people who were running his foundation, started helping with his golf tournament. That very next year, he was traded to the St. Louis Rams. I went with that team and planned the golf tournament in St. Louis. So that was kind of all of it coming full circle. So it went from college to immediately helping Marshall. After that, I moved down to Tampa, Florida, had family down there. Got involved with a gentleman named Tyrone Keys, who was the keys of the Super Bowl Bears Super Bowl Shuffle. Did some work with Ty and his nonprofit. And right about that time, 9/11 happened. And at that point, people were only giving to the United Way, 9/11 funds. So a lot of the athletes that were trying to do things in their community, that money kind of dried up, because people were giving more on a national level and giving to New York. So at that point, I started looking at, okay, what's next? And ended up at the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. I was the executive director for the Central West Coast of Florida. And now I've forgotten what your question was.
No, but the passion, right? Because every nonprofit has a mission.
Yes.
And every nonprofit is specific to that mission. And so a lot of people, they may try nonprofit for a little bit. I worked at the MS Society back in the day. And so you learn about the disease function or the process or the mission, and your heart just changes.
Yes.
It changes.
It does. And I've always had a heart for causes that aren't so well known. It's harder, but it's easier because, so for example, cystic fibrosis, 30,000 people. People would always say to me, "Oh, isn't that Jerry's Kids thing?" No, it's not actually. And so that ability to educate people and teach them about something that they don't know about, and teach them about why it's so important to give, that really kept me passionate. And I left there, went on my journey to go back and work with athletes for many years out in San Diego, around California. Came back here in 2013, ended up at the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, executive director for Indiana. Another cause that when I started in 2016, just not well known. Getting better each year because they're finding more and more patients are suffering with Crohn's and colitis than they've ever realized. And a lot of national drug companies are now bringing drugs to market for those diseases. So you say to me, "Oh, I don't know what that is. Tell me what that is." And I'll say ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. And they'll say, "Oh, wait, I see a commercial about that every night on Jeopardy." Yes, you do. And as soon as you say the words, then you start meeting people. And so again, just that desire to be able to educate, I never really thought of myself as someone who loves to educate, but I'm realizing career number 2 that I really have loved to educate all along and get people passionate.
But that's what sales is, right?
Yes.
That's what a true salesperson does. That's what turned you on to sell.
That's true. Yeah.
Because you got to educate people.
Yep.
And now you're finding the unique part about that is how do we help educate people better, faster, more visibility.
Yes.
And then that turns into education, but also partnerships, right? And that's really where the sales, I hate the term sales. Everybody's in sales. People say it all the time. And yet if you're passionate about something and you love to educate like you do, that just kind of turns into the perfect storm.
It does. And it's so funny that you say that because I've never said I'm in sales. But you're right. I'm selling, well, that's not true. I always say to people, you're selling the nonprofit, right? Your product is the mission of that nonprofit. So you are selling, but when you're passionate about it, you're educating.
It changes
the sales
game.
just come. And I always have believed in partnerships. I remember what it was like when I first was starting out with Marshall. And I would go to ask for donations. And, we got a lot of those donations because it was Marshall Falk asking. But then the things that people would ask for of him that they would expect. And so I always felt like, again, right, are you educating about the things you're doing, or are you just selling to someone? It needed to be a partnership. It didn't need to be once a year we came and knocked on your door and said, okay, it's time for the golf tournament. It needed to be, hey, we're in a partnership to change lives in inner city Indianapolis, in inner city St. Louis, supporting youth football programs that otherwise wouldn't exist if it weren't for the support we were giving, to support after school programs that wouldn't exist if it weren't for the support we were giving. That was in partnership. That wasn't in selling. Yeah, that was building partnerships in the community that were lasting.
But that is so much stronger, right? So much more sustainable.
Yes.
And so that's what I love about you, is because I see that in your eyes. Like, all the things that you have done have built you for what you're currently doing. It really is.
It is. I didn't realize that at all. And it's an absolute God thing that I'm where I am today. I never realized until the moment that light kicked in, that switch flipped to say, no, wait, I do have everything I need. He has been preparing me every step of the way to transition to this. And when I got to see it from the view that I know God wanted me to, it was unbelievable. The parallels between the two worlds of nonprofit and financial advising and coaching. Never would have imagined, but there's a lot of parallels.
Well, because you're educating, you're preparing, and you're also making sure that people are very aware, right, of your current situation, and then where are the needs and the resources. So what I love about you is you're so involved in the community. You are everywhere. And you give so much. You give so much of your time and resources, but it is to help educate people to become better, right? It's the compounding of the heart, but compounding of what you do every day. That's my brand, Everyday Leaders. I believe that what you do today makes impact tomorrow, but it's the consistency.
Yes.
Right? It's the consistency.
Yes.
Tell me about your transition into the financial services arena from nonprofit, because some people would say, like, how did you even figure that out?
So March 2020, I knew,
COVID.
Before, actually 2 weeks before the world shut down, I was at the annual conference for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation with my then board chair. And I remember saying to him the last night we were there, listen, this is it. You've got me till December. It's time to move on. I don't know what that means, but it's time. And he looked at me and said, okay, we're going to do this together. We're going to go out with a bang. And at the end of the year, we're both moving on. I said, okay.
Wow.
We got home, and literally, I don't even know if it was 2 weeks. Well, no, it wasn't. That very next week, they sent us home. And so, okay, at the time I was 45. Time for big girl career number 2. What do I want to be when I grow up? I've been doing this literally since college, literally since I was a kid. What do I want to do? No idea. My faith at the time was strong, but it was not everyday faith like it is now. And so I wasn't really praying about it, but occasionally I would talk to God about it. I knew I was not making a change during COVID. No way. No, because I didn't even know what I wanted to do, right? So I'm certainly not trying to explore this in the middle of COVID. Yeah. So I share this so humbly. My counterpart, Amanda, who was like my right arm, we grew the Indiana chapter 37% that year over year during COVID.
Wow.
We learned to do online events. We did them well with the partnerships that we had been building for 5 years. We were able to go to those people that we had built those relationships with and lean hard and say, listen, we need you now more than ever to do everything we can together because we got to keep raising money. People are still suffering. We had an incredibly successful year. It was missed by our national organization that we had an incredibly successful year. And that was, I call it my burning bush. God has to often give me burning bushes before I listen. And that was my burning bush. I had put everything into that year and making sure that we didn't fall short of the goals we had. Mm-hmm. And for that to not be recognized for my volunteers, not for me, but for my volunteers, they put everything in.
Yeah.
And when that wasn't recognized, it just was my final reminder that it's an incredible organization. They're doing incredible work. And it was time for me to move on. Mm-hmm. I also knew it was time to leave nonprofit because that was not the first time that burnout had come for me. Mm-hmm. But again, what do I want to be when I grow up? Mm-hmm. So again, I'm turning this into a long story. It's such a faith story, though, that it's hard to not share what God was doing all this time in the background that I had no idea.
But you don't know until you look back, right? Mm-hmm. Until Simon Sinek says this so much, but until you put those pieces back together.
Yes.
Steve Jobs said it, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't understand it until you've gone through it.
Yes.
And you can say, but that was so painful, and I didn't understand at the time. And yet, if you can just get through it every day and know that it's for purpose, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It was on purpose that I was supposed to stay there and be able to do what I did with those events.
Well, you had the skill set.
I never in a million years would have told you, oh, I'll do online events because that'll sound like fun. No, it was terrible. It was fun in the moment. But when I look back, I think, how did we even do that? That was crazy. Mm-hmm. But we did. We did it. Mm-hmm. And again, with those partnerships, I humbly say we did it well. Mm-hmm. And we did find ways to have fun doing it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, fast forward. February 21, I was having my annual review with my financial advisor, who is a financial advisor at Raymond James. She's now my boss. Mm-hmm. And she was sharing that she was the new branch manager of the Greenwood office. And she said, Brandi, I have 21 advisors here in the office. She said, I only have one other woman in this office, and I'm determined to change that. And Melanie, like that, my belly was on fire. And I was like, tell me more. And all these things I started seeing had all been happening. And she was like, are you looking? And I'm like, yes, but I hate math. I'm not a big fan of numbers. It's why I pay you to manage my money.
Right.
We met for coffee, and as they say, the rest is history. Mm-hmm. But I had seen, looking back, all of these things that I actually really did love to do. I loved to budget. I've always loved to help people who struggle with managing their money on a monthly basis. I had been through Dave Ramsey's class through our church. I had been through a different class that we had done as a church called Financial Foundations. And I loved the lessons and the messages and the everyday tips and tricks and tools to be better stewards of our dollars. And so I took some of those lessons and just started growing that knowledge. And I'm not going to tell you I love math, but I love numbers now.
Yeah. Well, you can become an educator.
Yes.
Right? Uh-huh. And I've seen you present. I've been in your workshops. I know how impactful they are because it's about the structure. A lot of people lack the structure of many things in their life, but especially when you talk about finances. COVID has made people really crazy. The economy has made people really crazy. Businesses are struggling because they can't get employees to show up. Right. So now everything changes and impacts their finances.
Right.
So it's for everyone. It's not just, if you haven't ever had a budget before, come see a financial advisor. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs your help.
Everyone should be following some sort of plan. And I often hear, well, I don't have any money. I don't need an advisor. Mm-hmm. And I would often say,
that's the best time.
Exactly. Because if you're not managing your money well, you've got to do something different. Because things are going to keep getting more expensive, probably. Mm-hmm. But as you go through life, you got to have a plan.
Right.
You got to have a plan today. You got to have a plan for tomorrow. And you've got to have a path to connect those two. Mm-hmm. And that's, I love to say that to clients. We're on a journey together. This is a journey about life. This is about your financial life. But name one piece of your life that isn't impacted somehow by your finances.
Mm-hmm. And if you really want control, right? A lot of people, this is what I know in leadership training, everybody wants the control in their life. Mm-hmm. And if you could let go of everything else but control one thing, the finances is really the one thing you should be in charge of.
Yes. I often say, we talk so much about physical health. We still don't talk enough about mental health, but we're doing better, right? But we talk about physical health, mental health, emotional health. How often do you hear people say the words financial health? But it's the one, I can promise you, that when it's not healthy, when your finances aren't healthy, your physical health's impacted, your mental health's impacted, your emotional health's impacted, and probably your spiritual health too.
Your relationships, right? Being able to say, I can either go to dinner or coffee or a trip or participate in giving and being involved in fundraising. Like, you can't do anything to give back into your community and feel like a contributor if you don't have the right process.
Yes.
I think that is so important. And I hear a lot of people, I hear all of the millennials and now the Gen Zers talk about the multiple jobs that they have. They say, I don't want one job anymore and retire at 35 years old or 35 years in and get this gold watch. I'm not interested in that.
Yes.
I want to do more. So talk to us just, surface level, but give us some guidance on kind of what's changed from, all of us that committed those 35, 40 years to the same company. How does that impact what we should be thinking about?
Well, pensions for the most part are a thing of the past. There are parents, our grandparents. That's old news. There are a few left, and if you are in one of those professions, hang on to it for sure. You're responsible for your retirement now. And now it matters. Where are you going to work? What does the benefit package look like? That matters now today more than ever. How much are they going to put into your 401k? Is there profit sharing? What stock options, if it's that type of company, do you have? And what in the world does all that even mean?
And those are negotiable too. A lot of the times people that are interviewing today, I work with a lot of clients that they're either transitioning or thinking about these things, but having questions from a financial planner as you begin to explore those ideas, that is really the right thing to do, because you can be prepared to ask those questions that you may not know even are possible.
Right.
Right?
And unfortunately for so many smaller businesses, if they're offering any sort of, retirement planning, 401k, whatever it might be, there's no one to help you when you make your elections, whether it's when you're starting or, each year. And so you just kind of blindly fill out the form, but you don't really know, should I be doing 4% or 10%? Should I be going into a target date fund or a specific fund? And there's no one to ask those questions. That's where a financial advisor can come in and give some direction and guidance to share with you through a financial plan. Okay, listen, you are this old. You tell me you want to retire at this age. So we've got this number and this number. Here's the way you want retirement to look, right? Again, it's that path. Point A, point B. What's the journey look like? How do we get you there? Well, if this is what you say retirement you want it to look like, right? That's how we work backwards the numbers. Well, how much do you need to be putting into your 401k? How much do you need to be setting aside? How much do you need to put into a HSA? Do you have children? Do you want to help them with college? What should you be putting into a 529 for them? And if you're a small business owner and there is no retirement package, you are the retirement package. I always say, from jump, it's got to be a line item.
Right.
Retirement's got to be a line item when you start a small business. Even if it's $100 a month in the beginning, make sure it's always a line item.
It's
because
just
it's
like
more important.
It's just like tithing, right? I mean, you have to consider it something that you are committed to if you're going to start anything. And I think a lot of companies, like you just mentioned, people that are signing up for new jobs today that say, oh, I'm not going to work here very long. Yet if you start that journey and you don't do the right things in the beginning, that compounding effect. Now I talk about leadership consistency, right? And the 1% that you do every day for 10% of your or 1% of your time. Gary Brackett from the Colts actually reminded me of this on our interview several years ago. And we were talking about like that 1% that you give. 1% of your time, which is 14 minutes a day, to grow and learn in something. After 365 days, it compounds 3,700%, right? So if you could grow in something, if you could grow and be educated, smarter, whatever, just more committed to your health, your finances, how that changes you. So if you're starting a new job and you've been there 365 days and you haven't even thought about this, like you're already behind. So you need to kind of figure that out, get with your HR people, with your financial advisor at the same time, and figure out what makes sense.
Yes.
Because I remember so many times going through companies and saying, I don't know, just fill this out. And I guess whoever the company financial part was, they will know, right? They'll know that I checked those boxes right. And then you go years and years and think, well, could I have had more? Right? Could I have had more?
Right.
If I had a coach, if I had an advisor, if I had somebody to tell me, well, what was your end goal?
Right. They're probably not going to ask you those questions.
No.
They just want you to fill out the paperwork.
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of times you have to be at a company 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year before they even offer to let you into those plans. Don't wait that year.
Right.
Don't do it. Compound interest. Anyone listening, I challenge you, just Google compound interest calculator and just throw some numbers in. It's incredible. I do this, especially with my younger clients. I always pull it up and I just throw some numbers in there to show them. And then I show them, okay, what if you did this today instead of saying me, I don't need to worry about that yet. We'll do that in a couple of years. And I get it. There's so much on people right now.
Yeah.
Gas is expensive. Food is expensive. They have huge, a lot of my younger clients, huge student loans coming out of college. And they're not making hundreds of thousands. They want to talk about starting a family and buying a house and how do we juggle all these things. It's a plan. You have to juggle the plan of all the things.
Talk about delayed gratification, right? I mean, that is so important. Today, everybody wants the instant rocket mortgage reward.
Yes.
And yet, there are so many things that you say, oh, could I have just a regular coffee at Starbucks? Or do I need that caramel macchiato? I kind of need a caramel macchiato sometimes.
No, you don't. No.
But not every day.
But not every day. Yes.
And so it's just taking that rounding up, I forget the guy that has the Acorn company. And so as a celebrity, right, he's educating people like round up and put those cents in a savings account of some type. But I think it's the awareness, the education that if we don't teach people how to do this and take action on it right now, like they're missing out. It's not something where you're going to be punished. It's just you could be rewarded fully.
So there's an app right now that you pay for to help you manage your subscriptions that you're paying for.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Okay.
Like, right? It's a subscription to help you with
your subscriptions, Melanie. What is wrong with that concept?
That's marketing.
Yes. What world do we live in? Like, what are we doing with our money that we're paying a company to tell us what we're paying for instead of just opening our bank statement and taking a look at it?
And canceling.
Because that's what they're doing, right?
Right.
So back to your caramel macchiato. If we could just get back to treating ourselves instead of believing, I've earned this. I can have one every day. Okay, you can. But at what cost? At what cost? What are you spending a month at Starbucks? What if you just cut it in half? What would that look like? Could you save more? Could you tithe more? Could you give to a charity? What could you be doing that you say you can't do right now?
Or do you even know how much you're spending in those categories?
No.
And that's where I say you have to be aware.
Yes.
Right? It's not just, oh, I'm going to go through and get this because I'm on my way to XYZ, or I had that great workout at the gym, so now I'm going to go celebrate and have this lemonade drink or whatever it is.
Right.
And yet we don't live in a world with delayed gratification to know in 10 years what could this be? If it's $100 a month, gosh, not going to dinner, not going to that, not going to St. Elmo's every month to celebrate. But if you really concentrated on it, Brandi, that's where I think you have helped me realize so much about if you just step back and just take that moment to reflect, it makes a big difference on how you start making decisions.
It does. It does. So I have a coaching program as well. So I wear kind of two hats. The coaching program it's a year long, and people say, "Oh, I don't. That's too much." Well, it's actually not. It truly takes them that long to change the patterns that they've had all their life about how they think about money, how they see money, how they spend money. But the very first exercise is a 3-month deep dive into their spending. So we look back 3 months. They get an Excel spreadsheet blank with categories, and they have to go line by line through through their bank statement, through any credit card statements, and they have to name every dollar, Dave Ramsey, to exactly that. Most people don't even know where their money's going. And then they sit down with me for that first deep dive with their eyes really big, and they're like, "We're spending $2,000 a month eating out at restaurants. Could we cut that in half?" Yes.
The grocery store is so expensive. You're like, it's not that expensive.
No, right? Exactly. I'm going to give you more money to spend at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And less money to spend at fill in the blank. DoorDash is another one. My coaching clients, if DoorDash is a problem, the app is gone. Get it off your phone. If you want to go out to eat, get up, get in your car, drive there, order your food, and then come home. Yes.
And you could fill your car up with 3 tanks of gas.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's that instant gratification. So we go, I have a group of 8 women that I work with that we started in January. It's my first time I've done it as a group. And these ladies, I'm walking this journey right along with them because I needed a reset, right? It's hard to stay focused in a world of instant gratification.
Yeah.
When all you have to do is tap here, click here, or swipe here, and it's all yours. Amazon is another one. Amazon was getting the best of me. And it was silly things like, do I really need 5 lint rollers?
Yeah.
Or I could go to Walgreens and get one.
Right.
Just,
But it's such a deal, and it'll be right here tomorrow.
or even today, if I do it right. If I just add one more thing to the cart, it'll be here in 3 hours. So it's learning discipline again around money, and really unpacking wants versus needs. I had one of my ladies say to me early on in our group, she said, "But Brandi, my wants were my needs. I had confused that growing up with a mindset about money the way I did. And I had to stop and really kind of process through, wait a minute. What would that look like when you have convinced yourself, no, I need those new shoes. I need that Starbucks every day." That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But you have to start from really what has motivated, what triggers people to feel that comparison or that lack of, right, without those material things.
Yes.
And so what you do is so important. And I love having this relationship with you to just say, hey, when Brandi's out, you can pull you aside and just ask you simple questions, but also know that you have resources for people that wherever they are today, they can start right now.
Yes.
Start right now and make it better.
Yes.
Right?
One baby step at a time.
One baby step at a time.
One. That's it. One little step to say, what's one thing I can just think a little bit differently about today that's gonna change the trajectory long term.
So tell me, as we close this out, tell me what your vision has changed from when you started doing this now, when you changed your profession. What's your hope? What's your heart? Because your mission was nonprofits, right? Education. Tell me about how your vision has changed. What's your heart to change people's mindset in this capacity? What do you hope for every single person to know?
Oh my goodness. Now I know why the Kleenexes are here.
Because you have a huge heart.
This one is it is emotional for me. Knowing that God led me here. I don't have a minimum. A lot of financial advisors do. You have to have a certain amount of assets to work with them. God has very clearly told me that's not why you're here. I brought you here to change the way people think about their money. I brought you here to teach people how to be better stewards with their dollars and to make a difference in the way that I intend for them to make a difference. That's a big responsibility. And I love every day of it. Mm-hmm. It excites me every day for whatever God puts in front of me. And I know that every person that comes to me was supposed to come to me. Mm. And I don't always know why at the moment, but I just say to people, wherever you're at, I'll meet you there. We'll walk the journey together to figure out where it is you want to go. Because a lot of people don't know. They don't know where they want to go. They don't know how to get there. It's overwhelming. It's scary. We were raised to never talk about money. You're not supposed to talk about your money. Mm-hmm. You want me to go talk to this strange woman who I don't know and tell her all my vulnerabilities and insecurities? Absolutely not. That sounds like zero fun. So if I can just change somebody's mind to say, no, we can have fun doing it.
Yeah.
And we can be better together by doing it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for creating that safe space.
Yes.
Yeah. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
So much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for spending time with me.
Oh, my gosh.
This was wonderful.
Will you come back?
No.
Yeah. And please continue to keep us educated because, it's a crazy year. It's a crazy political year. People are panicking about what ifs and mm-hmm. what happens next and mm-hmm. am I safe and secure? But mm-hmm. I think, educating yourself is the key. So
yes.
Thanks for being that link so that we can feel safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're awesome.
Okay. Thanks.
Wasn't that fun? All right. So thank you very much for tuning in today to Everyday Business Leaders. Brandi is a great community leader. You will see her everywhere, Aspire, Coffee Connections, and anywhere else that she may be in getting coffee at Fresh Pots too.
Maybe.
Oh gosh. But, buy her a cup of coffee. And I really encourage you to get educated on your finances because she is someone safe that will help you plan your future. I hope you were encouraged to think and grow differently today about your business, maybe about your own life, maybe about how you can invest in your community. So remember the journey of growth and innovation. It never ends. It's our job to keep bringing you the insights from our local community to help you grow. Stay tuned for more of these episodes with wisdom, innovation, and inspiration. This is Melanie Ake signing off from JP the Geek, where they say better IT service is just a call away. Until next time, don't forget, subscribe to our channel, turn those notifications on so you never miss an episode. Everyday Leaders helps you to develop strategies to become a better leader in your life. Because remember, it's not what you do in a day, it's what you do every day that makes the most impact. Thanks for following us.